2 weeks into the latest arbitrary new fraction of eternity, and it's time to start violating resolutions. Except, I didn't make any. So, let's crack a brewski. And commence with the straight out of the box test. The moment of truth is upon us. 166 rapidly devaluating Eurobucks. Will it be any good? Roasted. And they say they checked it. Auslieferungskontrolle, Sichtkontrolle, Spielbarkeit, Elektronik. Yeah, pretty sweet certificate, huh? Think it's true? Let's find out. All right, time for the trusty katana. What do you think? Should I leave the plastic on? Looks like some kind of locking tuners. Interesting. Must investigate further. Made in the People's Republic of Communism. PRCL, the People's Republic of Child Labor. So, that brings us to the conclusion of the out-of-box test. Now it's time to mess around with it for a couple of days and give you the in-depth review. Be right back. the J&D Jazzcaster. I hear J&D stands for Jack and Danny, and I have it on good authority that Jack and Danny is Cockney rhyming slang for fanny, and fanny is English for quantaha. So you can always be like, "Oi, quit being such a pain in the J&D." And that's awesome. So let's take a really close look. First and foremost, the classic vintage 3-piece ashtray bridge and Telecasters that I love to make fun of so much, because like taking something from the 50s and saying it's all vintage and talking it up is totally something Gibson would do. And most modern Telecasters have surpassed this with a real 6-saddle bridge and no ashtray thing. But the ashtray doesn't bother me as much as it used to picking around it, so whatever. And I got a replacement for this, so I just don't care that much as long as it drops right in. So here we go. This is no setup. This is straight out of the box. Plastic still on. I've been looking this over for a few days now, and I may have chuffed it up just a little bit here, but you know, it's got some kind of natural wood finish. Now I don't know if that's just oil and wax or what kind of clear coat they use. It's got some kind of a roast thermal treatment to the wood, and how much of a difference that makes, I don't know, but it's supposed to improve stability on, you know, this unsettled, you know, green wood that they probably use at prices like this. But I think the natural wood finish is awesome, and I wish they had it on more bargain basement guitars or more guitars period, because the like million coats of plasticky lacquer gives me this plastic hell feeling, like your guitar is part of the, you know, the disposable plastic culture that everybody complains about yet feeds into anyway. And this has got some kind of open grain pattern. And even though the wood they use, which is probably basswood, I'm guessing, although it might be alder, but you know, you can see the open grain, and it's not like the nicest grain pattern, but I don't care. You're not going to get a really nice grain pattern for 166 euro bucks. On the back side, things get interesting, just like it is in real life. So we got the string through body setup that I love so much because those ferrules look so cool. And we got the J&D back plate. You can see the prominent roasting of the neck. And here's where it really gets interesting. We got some locking tuners, and I think I've seen these before on a Firefly. They're pretty cool. Now I know already these tuners turn just fine and don't have any rotational difficulties or looseness or signs of play and shystiness. So they give you good tuners, so props for that right off the bat. And some of the workmanship flaws, I mean, like that, and there's not so great. And now that, I think might have done that myself. I think this finish is, you know, susceptible to minor scuffs. But it's a good thing if you want to relic it. And I actually wish they would sell more bargain basement guitars that were completely in the rough so you could finish them yourself, or just leave them bare wood and see what happens, because I'm interested in that sort of thing. Now, here's the only thing I think could be considered a significant flaw, and it's pretty minor. The nut is too high. You got a too tall nut, and that just gives you a high action all across the board right off the bat, and you can't set it down at the bridge saddles because it's just high all across. And the you know, there's some kind of line where the fretboard goes on that kind of looks cheap, but I mean, it doesn't matter. So this nut, you have to remove it and grind it down here, and they tend to break when you pull them out. So that's one thing. And a proper nut job can be an expensive trip to the luthier if they make one yourself. I mean, we're talking like 60, 80, 100 bucks. But it's playable. The high action impairs my already limited guitar capabilities, but I'm better on bass. And we got a nice roller string tree, which is nicer than what a lot of Fenders give you. The switch and the knobs don't seem shitty at all. They have a more solid feel than I've seen on a lot of higher priced guitars. So props, I think they did a great job all around. And I still can't believe this is only $166. This is actually cheaper than a good night out on the town. Now, the reason I felt so absolutely compelled to buy this when it algorithmically popped up on my feed on New Year's Day, so they knew I wanted it too, despite the last thing I ever need will be another guitar, unless it's a 12-string bass in the style of Tom Peterson and Doug Pinnick. That would be awesome. Waiting for Harley Benton to make one for $500. But anyway, I've always really wanted a Jazzcaster. I thought they were things that you had to do yourself. Now, I actually really like the Tele layout, in spite of only having one Tele myself. No, two. Anyway, I really like the Telecaster layout with the P90. And the Tele bridge pickup can sound really biting and generally more awesome than your average bridge pickup if you use it by itself. Because I usually use two pickups, but whatever. The Telecaster layout is generally more usable in a lot of things for each pickup alone or in combination, and I really like single coils. I almost exclusively play on single coils, and at this price point, cheap single coil usually will beat the hell out of a cheap humbucker, so I wasn't worried about the pickups just totally sucking. Now, I always thought a Jazzcaster was kind of a custom thing that you would have to do yourself. I think the Fender Paranormal series might have one, Squire Paranormal, but those would be more like $400 or $500, $350, something like that. And this was $166, which I can't believe. So what I think is really interesting is that these ultra bargain basement guitar makers are starting to come out with things that are kind of obscure. I mean, like 20 years ago, I never saw a Jazzmaster offered in a catalog, and the internet kind of sucked back then. But I don't know if this is a new idea, and it used to be something that people messed around with for fun, making them themselves. But I think it's really cool because the offset Jazzmaster body is one of my favorite body styles. It's really comfortable and just generally great and cooler than the Stratocaster, and I love it. And a Firebird caster, a Birdcaster, I would love one of those too. You know, Firebird with a Tele layout, that would be completely rad. But we'll see. If they make one of those, I'll buy it in a heartbeat. And so J&D, Jack and Danny, fannies, you gonna make a Birdcaster too? Because that would be radical, man. Anyway. So I figure everybody's got to get one. You can't live without it. And if I'm going to recommend everybody to get one, we need to do some more serious testing with effects in reverse order of appropriateness. We're going to go with the incredibly inappropriate Ginean Ringmod with Sunk Knob. extremely important is the SF300 Super Fuzz of Doom that nobody can live without. So we're going to fry it up through there too. And lastly, a test with more conventional effects. The Boss Oddity 3 and bass chorus, which I totally love and use a lot live. lastly, the alternate tuning test with my proprietary Sonic Sandman tuning that I'm always yakking about, because everybody should try it, especially everybody if you're me, because if you're a bass player who's not very good on guitar, it does a remarkably good job of concealing it. And we'll give you a taste of how these sweet, sweet tuners work. Now, it's kind of like double drop D, so I'm not really saying I invented the Sonic Sandman, but I've never seen anybody really use it. Double drop D with unison strings. Let's go. Now you tune the B string up to D and the high E down to D. And the G string up to A. So now you got multiple sets of octaves. You got your unison strings on top. A la Sonic Youth. And your root fifth for slides in the bass register, a la Mark Sandman of Morphine. Now this is technically only a semi-Sonic Sandman, because a real Sonic Sandman involves removing the D string to give you two courses of strings. So the advantage of the Sonic Sandman is it lets you put a couple fingers just about anywhere, and usually it sounds like something really clever and creative, so they can't even tell that you can't even play, if you're me, that is. And it also compensates for issues with playability and setup, and it can compensate for underwhelming pickups like this one has, even though the guitar is really good, I think. And you can kick up the juice and try to make some Indian sounds. And you can kick up the juice even more, and hopefully nobody can tell that the pickups are kind of underwhelming, especially if you roll off the treble a little bit. So my argument that really cheap single coils are usually better than really cheap humbuckers, I think it stands, although some of the settings on this, especially both together, which is usually my favorite setting, do sound really underpowered and jangly, although the jangle tone is useful for a lot of stuff I play, and sometimes skinny guitar, but I'm not going to talk it up because nobody wants skinny guitar except me, because I'm into doing some of that new wavy and post-punky stuff where the guitars are kind of jangly instead of being really heavy. But I think if you really cook them up with a bunch of overdrive and distortion stuff, a lot of times people can't tell, and like the neck pickup by itself doesn't sound that good when it's on clean, but it does when it's on distortion, and you can always, and rolling off the treble actually helps here. I used to never ever do that, but I'm glad I didn't take off the treble knob. That's a mod I used to do that's not actually a good idea, because sometimes it does help. So in conclusion, to wind up this outrageously long jam and rant, I think nobody can live without this. A Jazzcaster is something everybody should have, even though it has the ashtray bridge and 3 saddles, which I think is absolutely fucking ridiculous that anybody would do in the current era, because this is 1951 technology in action, and oh, it's vintage. Yeah, but I mean, a guitar for 166 worthless Eurobucks isn't, if you're gonna be vintage, man. But I like the natural finish open grain stuff. I think it's really nice. I can't believe how nice this is. And I don't work for J&D and anything. I never heard of before. I'm not even sure it's a real company, because it could be just like one of those ginormous factories in the People's Republic that they just crank out all kinds of brands in, or some generic factory. I don't know. But they're making a Jazzcaster, and that's awesome. And if you think about the nuts and bolts of it, 166 Eurobucks or USD, because I hope you can get it in America. I got it off Music Store DE, and I'm not sure if that's just a site or some kind of big catalog that's trying to compete with Toman. Anyway, because look at it this way, our currency, no matter where you are, has never been worth less than it is now. And the prices for everything are going up, and every trip to the supermarket to get food for my family costs more than this fucking guitar. So just get the guitar. It'll come in handy for something after the inevitable downfall of civilization, especially if you stock up on batteries for this and have like 1 million batteries. Or, you know, you can use it for a club or fireworks, or just play it unplugged. You can still hear it unplugged. The natural sound isn't bad. It'll help you fight off the boredom after the decline. So, with that in mind, if you made it all through this, Satan have mercy on your soul, and I will take you out with your all-round carefree outro.